Right, so, first of all, apologies. This video was meant to be out a while ago. I've had a like chest infection thingy, and just generally been busy. I was busy over the weekend. I was busy, like doctors and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I just haven't been able to get this video up. I was going to do the comic reviews as a live stream. That idea went out the window. Basically, I haven't streamed in a while because of the chest infection. Just basically haven't been able to talk for long periods of time without it being extremely painful on my throat. I'm getting slightly better, hence doing the video now. But what I will say is, before anyone goes off in the comments saying, oh, this isn't last week's or this week's comics or this week's issues, where's Ultimate Spider-Man #1? I will get to them. I will get to them eventually. I'm still working through a back catalogue of quite a few books that I haven't. I'm still catching up on stuff, and I want to do a video on the books that I did in the last haul video. I'm not going to talk about that Beast World Evolution book, because it's not what I thought it was. Essentially wasted £7 on a book that is a collection of previous issues, all to do with Gar, for an event I'm not that invested in. I thought that the book was going to be a prelude to Beast World. Turns out it's not. Turns out it wasn't that. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about that, but what I will talk about, the first book that I'm going to talk about today, Titans, issue 6. This is a Beast World tie-in. I think the next couple of issues are going to be Beast World tie-ins. I didn't like this. I've been on and off with this series for a while. I've liked parts of it, but I haven't liked. I haven't really dug the artwork that much, and I feel like the story is slow, and it's taken a while to get to the point. And also, I haven't read Beast World yet, so a lot of the stuff in this, like Batman being a cat, wolf, bloke, just doesn't really make sense to me yet. The Titans Beast World tie-ins might make more sense when I'm caught up with the main book, with the actual Beast World book, but as it stands, also it's not clearly marked on the cover that it's a tie-in, so going into this and being like, this takes place after Beast World issue 3, which I haven't even read Beast World issue 1 yet, yeah, I was just kind of a bit lost. There is some stuff with Brother Eternity in this, and with Tempest in this as well. It feels like they're doing the end of that arc in a tie-in event, which does kind of leave a sour taste in my mouth, because I was interested in the Brother Eternity stuff. But yeah, and having that kind of brushed under the rug for Batman's a wolf just kind of rubs me up the wrong way. I want to talk about the final issue of Moon Knight City of the Dead. I've dropped the main Moon Knight book just because I'm just too behind on it. But this, as a mini-series, is fine. I feel like if you're a fan of the show and if you like what the show did, this is that, but slightly better. But I can see where this kind of came from, and it was something. It's something that I don't think would exist if the show wasn't about what it was about. If the show didn't go the way that the show went. Yeah, I just felt like this series, this like mini series as a whole, just kind of has been a bit flat. When the main Moon Knight book, at least when I was reading it before I fell off, was something really special. This kind of just and like it's like nothing else on the shelf. This is just kind of like everything else on the shelf, and that's the biggest sin that a book can have, is just looking like everything else. Green Lantern #1. Again, I'm very behind on this, but I like this first issue. I think it's a good first foray into Green Lantern. And I have never read Green Lantern before. I think this is a fine first issue. I think this is a fine pickup. I didn't have the problem with this as I did with, like, say, Blue Beetle #1, where I felt like I was actively missing out having not read the previous run. This doesn't have any baggage of a previous run. This does genuinely just feel like, right, new readers can jump on with this, and that's the best kind of #1. And when I say that, it's because a lot of #1s these days are just kind of like, let's follow on from what the last issue of the last book was doing. This isn't that. This is a perfect, like, jumping on point. Am I fully invested in the book as of right now? No, not really. But it's only one issue, and I think there's it's not the worst first issue, but it hasn't grabbed me like the Flash #1 did, or Captain America #1 did, by Straczynski. So I'm not fully there yet, but I think it's got a good chance of getting me there, because it's a character that I enjoy. Fantastic Four number 14. I just didn't like this. I don't know if it's this book or the tone or anything. I just don't feel the stakes. I don't feel anything reading this book, and I'm sorry, Ryan North, but it's just, I don't want to say boring, but I think it is a bit boring. I'm going to give it a few more issues, because it is getting into kind of the stories that, or the part of, it's getting into the weeds of something that I am interested in, and that does seem more interesting to me, which is Valerian Franklin coming back after a year of not being around, and I want to see how Ryan North writes those characters. But I can't say that I'm super thrilled with this book as it stands, and this isn't the book that I kind of wanted it to be. And I did see Fantastic Four on a couple of like top 10 bests of last year. To that I'd say more power to them. But as it stands, as a book, the 14 issues that we have got, I liked the start of it a lot. I'd say up until issue 7, it was doing really well. I was really invested in it. But when issue 8 happened and it started doing more of the like one and done issues, that's when I kind of fell off a bit. I'm still reading the book because I enjoy the art and I enjoy the characters, but I'm not invested in where the book is going necessarily. Or I'm invested in where the book is going, but I'm not invested in what is happening to get there. Guardians of the Galaxy number 9. This is all about the quest for Drax's soul. Gamora and Mantis go to Earth to fight someone who has the powers of the Soul Stone, or someone that has the Soul Stone. That's all to do with the Avengers run that I didn't read. So again, it's a lot of stuff that's kind of lost on me. And some stuff to do with this issue is tied in with Empire, which I didn't read. There's just a lot of this book is kind of building out of things that I didn't read, and this particular issue is building out of things that I didn't read, and so it's just kind of gone thump. And if you did read those and you're reading this, then you're probably getting a bit extra for it, you know. But also the art, just I'm kind of on the mindset of now, I just don't like the way that this book looks. I think it's I don't want to say it's an ugly book, but it's not an art style that I 100% am on board with, and it's not an art style that I like, and it doesn't really match the tone of the book. I liked it for the first few issues, and now it's just kind of become a bit oof to me. And I don't know, I want to kind of just get back to the Groot stuff, and next issue looks like it's getting back to the main core storyline, which I was enjoying. But yeah, with this particular issue, I just think it's a bit of a blank spot. And if this issue happened earlier in the run, then I would be able to forgive it a bit more, and maybe I'd be a bit lighter on it. But where it stands at the moment, this being the penultimate issue of the run, being a side quest, really when we should be leading in towards a finale, it does mean that the actual finale will kind of come out of nowhere, or is going to come out of nowhere, and I know it's the issue 10, I think it's the final issue, and then we've got an annual after that, which is going to wrap up the whole storyline, which I kind of like that idea. I'm not 100% sure on it, but I kind of like that idea. The Avengers number 8. I don't know where I stand on this book, because it does feel like this is just the first arc again. It does kind of feel like Right, so the first arc was we have a team of villains. The Avengers get split up and they have to fight one of the villains each. And all of the villains are kind of like new and they're not that interesting. And Jed McKay wants you to care about them, but you don't. And that's kind of what this is again. It's a group of villains. The Avengers, albeit, are together and Nightmare's involved, so it just kind of is all over the place. Yeah, I don't know if I liked this issue, to be honest. It just feels like we're doing the same thing again. And I don't know if it's doing anything clever. I want to see what it does next issue, just to see if it gets any more interesting. The whole idea of the Avengers basically protecting Kang is kind of interesting, but I do also feel like the use of Kang, I think the use of Kang in this is purely because he was in the movie. And now that Kang's role in the MCU is kind of up for debate, it makes this book and Kang's importance in this book kind of questionable as well. But that's all I really have to say about that. As a whole, it feels like it's retreading old ground from literally the last arc, which I'm not 100% on. And that's kind of always been why I've stayed away from Avengers, because it does feel like you're reading the same thing over and over again. Maybe it can change my mind. I don't know. We then have Black Panther number 7. This is just T'Challa going completely boots on the ground. One of the side characters says to T'Challa, "You've been thinking about this like a king, and you've been thinking about this whole situation as an outsider." But to do what you need to do, you have to fully integrate yourself in Burning T'Chaka, and you have to actually become a citizen, become a person, basically become a member of society. You need to be on the ground with the people, and so that's what this issue is. It's not my favourite issue of the run, mainly because this is one of the slower ones, and I'm fine with that, because I know that we're going to start getting into wrapping up this arc pretty soon. So we're going into T'Challa building his team to go into the big fight against the Grey Wolf at the end of the arc. So I'm on board with that. But this issue is just a bit slower than the rest of the arc has been, and I'm not against that entirely, because the rest of the run has been pretty good, and there is plot reason for this issue being a bit slower, and I'm fine with that for a number 7. I'm fine with the book slowing down and taking a moment to do a bit of world building, because we haven't had that yet in this series, and we are in a new environment. I want to talk about Daredevil Black Armor issues 1 and 2, because I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people will lead you to believe. It's not great either. It does very much feel like a book that came out in the 90s, and that's kind of like that's both a good and bad thing, because there's a lot in these two issues. There's a lot going on, but there's also very little going on at the same time. Yeah, it's basically Daredevil's going up against villains that are not typically his own. So he's going up against Sabretooth, he's going up against Hobgoblin, he's going up against Baron von Strucker, who is kidnapping people off the street. And really, this could be a one and done. But they're stretching out for 4 issues, which isn't too bad, but also it means there's a lot of filler, and there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really need to be in this. And it's just a reminder of why people say that the 90s was the worst time to be a comic book fan. Because it is just a lot of words for not a lot going on, which is kind of my biggest problem with that era of comic books, and anything that tries to harken back to that just kind of ends up being a bit cheesy for modern comic book storytelling. But I don't think it's a bad book, that being said, and I want to see how it ends. I want to see what happens in the next issue, what happens in the final issue, and I hope it sticks the landing. I want to talk about the Flash number 4. I'm in on this book. I'm fully in, and it's a Flash book, and I'm fully in for it. Yeah, I just really like where this book is going. I think it's bringing in a lot of really interesting ideas. There's a lot of really fun things going on. I really like how it's dealing with the whole Flash family. Yeah, and it seems to be giving equal time and equal character development or equal character time for each member of the Flash family, even though it is Wally's book and he very much is the main character. Yeah, I'm like fully on board with this now, and I can't wait to see where it goes and what happens, like where they're gonna go with this this like other dimension of the Speed Force, and how they're going to what else Cy Spurrier is going to add to the Flash lore, and how dark is he going to go with the book going forward. I can only apologise for how much I'm coughing, by the way. I'm going to talk about Blue Beetle. This is a very like downtimey issue. It's just, let's spend some time with the Flash support, or not the Flash, with Blue Beetle supporting cast before we head into the finale of hopefully this first arc, not the finale of the series as a whole. I hope this book goes for longer than 6 issues. But yeah, with Blue Beetle, you never know. With a character like this, you never know. Yeah, I just liked this issue. It's just a lot of fun. It's just very, like, you know, fluffy and silly, and I just liked it for how serious the last few issues have kind of taken themselves. It was good to have a bit of downtime just to have some fun with the characters. Am I fully invested in all of them? No, but I don't think I need to be. There's enough characters in the book to have kind of your favourites and kind of not, and some that are not. And I care about enough of them enough to have stakes built up for going into the next couple of issues. And I don't want anything bad to happen to any of the characters in the book. We'll talk about Hulk number 7. First of all, I don't like this cover. I don't like this cover at all. It's not good, and it's not doing anything for, like, it's not doing anything for my chest infection. I'll just say that. But the actual issue itself went by really quickly. It's a really quick read. A lot of these Hulk issues have been very quick reads, and that's a good thing. Also, Nick climbed back on art, so the book looks suitably ugly. The book looks exactly like you would want a Hulk book to look, and this is the tone that I want a Hulk book to be, because it is kind of dark and kind of moody and kind of a horror thing, but also there is a Ghost Rider in here. There is a fight between Hulk and a Ghost Rider. There is, like, where the book finishes off, and this Ghost Rider thing, it's more than just a side quest. It's like 3 issues that we're going to be spending with his Ghost Rider, and it's interesting, and I'm invested, and everything that I said about the Hulk book, I said about the Hulk in my ranking every comic that I read last year, has kind of done a 180, completely turned it around with just this one issue, and I am kind of interested to see how Philip Kennedy Johnson writes Hulk in different scenarios, and I want to see those other things now. If Nick Klein stays on the book, yes, definitely. It's only because we had those couple of issues without Nick Klein that I did rank it so low in that video. But now that he's back, and hopefully consistently back, this book is going to be probably a heavy hitter when I come to rank books at the end of this year. So yeah, a lot of good things for Hulk fans. Hulk fans are eating right now. Daredevil number 4, a very good issue as well. Another very good issue. I really like this. It kind of explains away why Ben Urich has been acting so weird. New artist, which I actually prefer to Aaron Kuder. It's a shame that Aaron Kuder couldn't last more than 3 issues, but also, if he's a busy man, I understand being an artist is hard, and deadlines are difficult and all that stuff. And also, Bullseye coming back, it's always fun to see Daredevil fight Bullseye, and the fact that that's going to go on in later issues as well. And next issue is going to be Daredevil fighting She-Hulk, which is always fun. It's always nice to see those characters interact together. And this whole like background thing of these demons inheriting or using people close to Matt. That's very interesting. I'm excited to see who else gets taken over. from solicitations, we've already seen that probably She-Hulk is one of them, probably Wolverine is one of them as well. But I would like to see some more people that are more closer to Daredevil be actually affected, and to see how this version of Daredevil deals with those characters, like a Foggy Nelson getting taken over, or even like a Wilson Fisk, or even Bullseye later on in the book. But yeah, I'm really invested. I had a couple of issues where I was like, I don't know where I sit on this book, but now I'm back, and I've fully got my seatbelt on for this. I'm really enjoying it. Speaking of other books that I'm really enjoying, Blade number 6. Dracula's in this one. Dracula's always fun. He's always a fun character, and whenever he shows up, it's always good. And it's cool to see him in this kind of like mentorship role, in like not nearly a heroic role, but more of a like, just, you came to me for help, you will do what I say, and you will be what you need to be for this fight that you're going into, because if you remain human, or if you prioritize your humanity in this fight, then you will die. So you need to basically go full vampire, and once you go full vampire, you never go back. And I love it. I love this whole issue is just Blade and Dracula having a chat, having a bit of a fight, and then having more of a chat. And it's so and I was so invested throughout the entire issue, and that's why I'm so excited to see what Brian Hill's voice for Black Panther's going to be, because he can do that downtime and that just conversation really well. And a lot of this book, Blade, has been very like hit after hit after hit, and very fast paced. So to have an issue that is like just a chat between Dracula and Blade is really refreshing, and it was really like yeah, I was just invested throughout the whole issue. It's just a really good issue. Another great issue for a really good series. Speaking of really good series, Punisher is back, and it's a different bloke, but it's basically the same quality as the Aaron stuff. The only thing about this is there's no solicitations for March, which means that this is probably going to be a 4 or 5 issue mini, and I hate that, because this book is so good, and the story that it's setting up is so interesting. There's twists, there's turns, there's everything. There's Bushwhacker. I'm always a fan of Bushwhacker. Yeah, this is easily. I don't know if it's as good as Aaron's stuff yet, and I'm scared it won't have the time to get there. But where it is at the moment, especially compared to the other book that David Pepose did that I read, this is leagues above that Moon Knight mini, and this is so good. I really need to up my vocabulary. But this is really good. I highly recommend you pick up Punisher if you aren't picking it up already, because this book is so much fun. And I didn't think I would ever be able to say that about a Punisher book, but this book is a lot of fun. So yeah, that's every book that I read over the last week. Obviously not this week's books, because no Ultimate Spider-Man here, but I will get to that eventually. And I've heard that it's good. I've heard that it's very good. So that's a sign that, you know, it's worth going in and picking that up. But yeah, I'm really enjoying most of the books that I'm picking up at the moment anyway. And it's always difficult to rank these before switching on to do the review video, because I'm just like, I liked all of these, and the ones that I didn't like, I don't like bashing books. I don't, because people worked hard on these things, and it's like, even if a specific issue is a bit slower, or, you know, an issue takes the time to have a bit of downtime or to flesh out the world, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that issue might be slower, and then, like, previous issues might have been, like, one bad issue doesn't necessarily mar an entire run. And that's the feeling that I'm starting to get with Blade, I'm starting to get with Daredevil now, and I'm starting to get with The Flash now, is that these are runs. These aren't just like series. These aren't just like books that are coming out. These are runs. These are like sagas that people are gonna when you go into a comic book shop and ask, like, I'm really interested in The Flash, I want to pick up a Flash book, you'll give them this one and you'll go, this is a great run. Cy Spurrier's run on The Flash is great. And, like, Brian Hill's run on Blade is great. And, like, there's not very many books that you can that are on the shelf at the moment that you can pick out and be like, that is a run, and that is a run that you can recommend, and that is a run that will, like, stand the test of time. But yeah, I think J. Michael Straczynski's Captain America will probably get there, and be, like, at the top of the list of Captain America books to recommend to people, because he's actually the main character of a Captain America book, which it's rarer than you may think for Captain America to be the main character of his own book. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Yeah, peace.